Wyoming from Skip Ewing on Wyoming Sounds. That's the title song from his album released late last year. A native of Redlands, California, Ewing spent some of his formative years in South Carolina and Colorado before moving to Nashville in 1984, where he performed at Opryland and became a successful songwriter. His songs have been recorded by Keith Urban, the Zach Brown Band, George Strait, Kev Mo, Willie Nelson, and many others. His number one hits include Diamond Rio's I Believe, Kenny Chesney's You Had Me From Hello, and Clint Black's Something That We Do. Welcome, Skip. Great to have you on Wyoming Sounds.
Thanks, Grady. It's great to be here. I like to happy to talk to you.
Yeah, we've been playing that song Wyoming we just heard along with Railroad. And today we get to hear a couple of more songs from the album done live. So we're really looking forward to that. First off, what was your reaction when you first heard Willie Nelson, one of the all time greats, was going to record one of your songs?
It's still I'm floored every time that it happens, Grady. No matter if it's Willie Nelson or somebody that I'm just I'm floored every time. The first person who ever cut a song was George Jones, and I remember,
Wow.
yeah, I remember jumping up and down in a hotel lobby, after I had gotten the information. And when I found out Willie was going to cut a song, actually, he had invited me down to Pedernales, and I ended up playing guitar with him in the studio, and I was sitting right across from him. He set up his guitar, and what an amazing player, and what an amazing person. And anyway, we sat across from each other and kind of sang and played, and that was amazing. I met Willie in a hotel room, and when I walked in, I didn't know he was there. Only the tips of his boots were sticking out about that far in front of the dresser. He was sitting up against the wall, and yeah,
That's
it was really
cool.
fun.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So you've lived in different areas of the country and you've recently relocated to Wyoming. And when did you first come to Wyoming and what inspired the decision to move to Wyoming?
Well, I brought my daughter here because I wanted her to have a place where she could ride. I was looking for a ranch that I could take my daughter to where she'd have a chance to be, to be out, not so structured as some places are. A lot of my background with my grandfather is horses differently, and I enjoy this kind of riding. And I fell in love almost immediately upon landing. After we drove over the pass from Jackson and towards Du Bois, which is where we went, and even my daughter said, "Man, this already feels like home." And yeah, that happened. I want to say that was either '99 or 2000, somewhere in that. And
Mhm.
I've returned almost every year since then, and we moved and lived here now 3, 4 years, something like that. But yeah,
Great, great.
finally got to actually be here. It was a great day when I got my Wyoming driver's license. I know
Yeah,
that sounds silly. That might sound silly, but it's so true, man.
the best thing too, you don't have to wait long when you're at the DMV or any other place where you go normally in big cities. It takes forever to get things.
Oh, well, I don't know what it's like in COVID. It must be terrible.
Yeah, yeah. You wrote all the songs on the new album, with the exception of one. You had a co-write with the great Hal Ketchum. Tell us about
Hmm.
the Juggler.
Well, along the way, I had overheard someone talking about juggling Christmas ornaments, and that there was a delicacy about that. But they were describing something else, and for me, that resonated like hearts. I said, "That's like juggling hearts metaphorically," And Hal and I were supposed to get together, and it's a song. Almost everything I wrote for this Wyoming record, I either wrote anew or finished it for the record. And I think Hal Ketchum and I started that song back in 1996. I think that's how long ago we started it, and we didn't finish it. But I was explaining to him, you know, about the Christmas ornaments, and that I could relate to that just as myself, like a juggler in the world or in my relationships, and not just love relationships. My daughter, you know, and that's where it came from.
All right. You want to play?
Heck yeah.
All right.
That's part of why I came here, right?
Yes, indeed. Skip Ewing on Wyoming Sounds.
Hello, I am the juggler in this circus. I'm here for your enjoyment at my own expense. My clothes are brightly colored and there's a smile upon my face, but it's only an illusion for the stage. In my act I will be juggling little children, a woman and my future and my past. But the show, it won't end there, 'cause while they're all up in midair, you will see me reach into my chest and throw my own up there with all the rest of those glass hearts, delicate and fragile glass hearts. And though I make mistakes with glass hearts, the show is never over till the last heart breaks. Now juggling's a precarious profession, and you can see why every day I wish, oh, wish that I was breathing fire or walking on a wire. You see, then I would be the only one at risk. Careful there, I almost missed. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this fine performance. I trust you were astounded and amazed. But you see, my talent isn't rare or far beyond compare. Some of us, we juggle on the stage, but all of us, we struggle just the same, with glass hearts, delicate and fragile glass hearts. And though we make mistakes with glass hearts, the show is never over till the last heart breaks, or till the last glass heart's safe. Hello, I am the juggler in this circus.
Very nice. The Juggler from Skip Ewing on Wyoming Sounds. I'm Grady Kirkpatrick, and very happy to be talking with Skip. Uh, I wanted to ask uh, about your early songwriting, and I guess who were some of your early songwriting influences?
You mean like as I was kind of growing up and learning to play guitar, and
Yeah,
uh, I would say two of the main influences. James Taylor, super influence on me. Um, This funny. There's so many. As soon as I start trying to make, to make a list, because I tried to listen to as much stuff as I possibly could,
hmm,
and I didn't have a way to listen too much when I was a kid. I just didn't, and so I listened. Some of the things I heard were on the radio, and in the car, and just whatever I could find, whatever I could listen to. But
sure.
James Taylor, easily
Yes,
one of the strongest influences. Yeah.
I see where one of the things that you strive for in your songwriting is finding common ground, and that's certainly a good thing, especially these days.
Yeah, I mean, even that song, the, we're talking about juggling the Christmas ornaments and being allowed the wonderful opportunity to share my heart in music, even to be able to make this new record. I feel joyous about that. I feel incredibly fortunate, and to get to come on the radio and share that, and hopefully people will discover what I'm about. But that song, actually, in the last verse of it, is really my reason for loving that song so much. It gave me an opportunity to um, to express the sort of erasing of the proscenium between, like, instead of stage and audience, in this case it's whoever's singing the song, me, and whoever's listening, and that where we connect, where we are the same, where we are most human. And those are the spaces where we understand, or often we understand each other. All of us understand each other, and so that's something I work hard to include in my music, for sure.
Well, you're certainly passionate about music, and I understand you've developed quite a love of horses too. And how did that begin?
Well, like I said, I've been coming to Wyoming for 20 years, and the more I came, the more about horses I learned, and and it got to a space in Nashville where I really wasn't able to make the music that to write, and because at that time I was pretty much in a space where I had to be a writer. I couldn't do an artist, couldn't be an artist at the time. Now I finally can, um, and so it got to a space where I looked kind of deeply at my own life and went, okay, wait a second. I have cultivated this incredible respect and love for horses. And if I'm ever going to do that, then I need to do it now. And so I ended up selling everything in Nashville, everything I had except for my instruments and some art. And I went on the road, and it's not that I never played music, but I worked as much as I could, learning from the best horsemen that I was given the opportunity to be with. And Grady, what I did, honestly, is I learned about myself. That's what I did when I was
Horses
working.
will do that, won't they?
And
There's
yes,
something about them.
yeah, thank goodness they do. If you listen, if you're willing to listen, and but I loved that. I loved the exploration of that, and it got to a space where I was hoping that there were things that I could do to help others with their relationships with horses, and then that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
But that's why I did that. And then after we moved to Wyoming, of course, we still have horses, and I'll still do some, I'll much time with horses as I can. But doing this new album, and my wife turning to me, she was shooting a television show out here, and I had a little bit of the summer to decide to write, and I started back just writing this new album. And she said, it's time to put the journeys together. It's time to, it's time for you. Got to get this music out there. And God love her, I trust her very much. And so it's a big undertaking. It shifted our life around it. I'm very happy that things are taking off the way they are around it.
Well, how about another song? I think you're going to do another one from the
Yeah,
album.
sure, I can do that.
Great.
Just do a little song called "Until It's Gone." Billy said, you take this bottle, it's an awful lot like love. You start out with a sip and you feel right swell, but you keep on drinking long enough, sometimes it gets mean and the whole thing goes to hell. I've drank a lot more whiskey than I've ever tasted love, but there was one in Washakie. Didn't tell her about the bounty, I didn't know her long enough. They killed her when they missed me.
Oh, love is good until it's gone. Now this train we hit tomorrow, ain't no church on Sunday stroll. They'll have sidearms, 12s and 10s. Better ride out like I told you, or you end up with a hole in your chest and you won't ride back again. I'll let you stay on for the money, 'cause you keep your muzzle shut. See me, I kinda do it for the fame. And I know the plan is working, 'cause every time I dole the cut, they raise the wanted number neath my name. Oh, money's good until it's gone. Oh, it's all right until it all goes wrong. And we drank a lot of bourbon, and we gambled and we rolled, and we spent up all we held up stages for. When I contemplated freedom, he said, devil's truth be told, we both want whiskey, fame, and money more. But I was on a horse named Copper when we met up near the wall, and I told myself I'd change his name to Gold. This was gonna be my last one, hell, the biggest one of all, and I kinda liked the thought of getting old. We were right on time and plan, but they had more than 12s and 10s. They uncovered what they called a Gatling gun. I went down and Copper with me when I felt led twice again, and I couldn't feel my legs to even run. Oh, freedom's good until it's gone. Oh, it's all right until it all goes wrong. Now there's a ring of black above me, up there circling in the sky. And if I knew how you can bet your life, I'd pray. And I can hear the preacher saying you'll have nothing when you die. I guess I thought at least I'd have a grave. Life is good until it's gone. Oh, it's all right until
It's gone. Skip Ewing. Great to have you on, Skip, here on Wyoming Sounds. And I wanted to ask about production of the record. You recorded a dozen songs and then enlisted the help of a producer, a guy that you'd worked with before. Is it Kyle Lenning?
Yeah, and before we jump too far past that, I just wanted to I have fun with that song because Grady, I think that might be the only song I've ever heard where somebody dies getting eaten by vultures at the end.
Oh yeah,
So
well,
I think that's the
that's very descriptive. We don't have a video of that one yet, do we?
Well, you know what? We've talked about it. It would be a really cool video to make if we did it the right way. But
Yeah.
well, you asked about Kyle Lenning. Kyle Lenning is just brilliant. Kyle, is known for having done all of the Randy Travis records. Well, I shouldn't say all, but most of them, all the early ones, and almost all the hits as it went along. And he's also done several other artists. That's just maybe the one he's most known for. And at one point, he called me on the phone and he said, "Hey, are you traveling? Or are you in Nashville?" And I was there, and he said, "Can you come right over to the studio and play guitar on a song we have of yours?" And I was, surprised. As sure. I went over there, and we cut a song called "If I Didn't Have You," that I wrote for Randy, and ended up being a #1 record. And that was, back when Randy was making records and I was a little kid. So, I mean,
A
it's
while
just
back, isn't it?
it's crazy to me. And but the funny thing is, Kyle and I never worked. We were never in the studio. We never worked together in between then and when I had this knowing in my heart. I turned to Linda, my wife, and I said, I I think I need to do this with Kyle Lenning. I mean, he's the only person I asked. I just called him out of the blue and I said, would you listen to a few songs, because this album is coming together and we're very passionate about it. It's almost like I haven't ever gotten to be the kind of artist I wanted to be. And I'd like to jump in and take a shot at it. And it seems like people are liking what we're doing. And he called me back and said, man, when do you want to cut?
That's
So
great.
yeah,
That is great. You
things just kept
also,
falling together like that. Grady,
you, very cool. You brought in some really fine musicians as well, including great guitarist Brian Sutton. Did the songs come together like you had envisioned?
they really did. And to me, even when we tour, when I do live performances, there's something that happens when musicians get together and they're given the freedom to do what they do best. And Kyle and I are in agreement on how we approach that. Of course, when I write songs, there's typically a lot of guitar, and I ended up playing a significant amount of guitar on the record. And to go back to Brian Sutton is one of the best guitar players ever. I
Yeah.
mean, really, he really is, and he would shake it off if I told him that, but he really is. And as an example, the joy of that is that I got to go in there and play. And when you're in the studio, you can't. If I have things that I've already done, we don't have to go and try to learn, everything exactly. What we'll do is we'll go, I wonder if I capo here and you capo here, or if you play bouzouki and I play, this high strung guitar. And Brian and I would do that right before we were going to do the cut. I would take whatever guitar sound we thought we wanted, and we would just get together real quick and pick up different guitars and see to see what felt good to us. And it was a joy to work with Brian, certainly, because he's a wonderful musician. And I can't be around those guys without. I've done it for a long time, but I always learn. And we went in with again Eddie Bears, and again I think he's one of the greatest drummers in the world. These guys have played on so many hits, and many of the hits that I've written. And what we were able to do is I was able to share material ahead of time and say, hey, are you guys feeling this material? Are you feeling these songs? And they all said, yes, we want to cut it. That's an important thing, having some passion around it. But we get in there. Kyle likes to sit in the control room. Not in the control room. He likes to sit in amongst all of us who are doing the recording, not where the engineer is on the main board. He'll sit right in the middle of where we're recording and listen on headphones. And it feels like we're all part of the package. Kyle and I can talk real quick, and we'll do this and and it didn't take us long. We cut all of this whole album in 3 days, all the rhythm section, all 5 plus me.
That's pretty efficient.
In 3 days. Well,
very efficient.
Yeah, it wouldn't be finished. Now I can't say the album is finished. Then we have a lot to do, and I had to do all my vocals and a bunch of more guitars and what have you. But those guys getting together, and all of us listening, and sometimes knowing what not to play is just the greatest thing.
Sure.
Just don't, and it's a blessing. I hope this continues to grow in the way we hope it will, so we can make more music that way.
Yeah, we're going to get to hear another cut off the record here in just a bit. I wanted to ask you, it's been a relatively mild winter in Wyoming. How are you and your wife doing? Doing all right in Du Bois, right?
Oh yeah. Well, we love it here, and so it doesn't matter what time of year it is, and it has been. You're right. It has been relatively mild. We haven't gotten too much snow up here, but typically we don't get the snow others sometimes get.
Want to let folks where they can find more information at skipewing.com, right?
Yep, skipewing.com. You can find everything there. You can send a message to me. Let me know if you heard it, if you liked it, and And I sure appreciate that. That's great.
Yeah. You have some pretty cool videos online as well, and some pretty darn good dance moves on Whiskey Basin. Is most of that filmed in Wyoming? It looks like it.
That was, I mean, that's all here. We did
Yeah.
everything that we did. Yeah, different places. We Whiskey Basin. We're actually in the Whiskey Mountain area. Whiskey, all that space. That's where we shot some of that. We just had fun. Grady.
Yeah.
It's, with COVID and everything now going on, things are much different than we ever thought they'd be, and we're making music and videos and however we can. It's like, even just to be able to enjoy this right here with you. We might not have done it this way. I probably would have come down to the studio, and we would have gotten to know each other a little more and talk beforehand, and it's thrown us different models. But at the same time, here we are, at least in Wyoming.
Exactly. Yeah.
At least in Wyoming, and I feel connected. I still feel connected.
Sure.
It's like we have great wide open space. I am so happy to be here. Wouldn't be anywhere else. And I think that's the same thing that's happening with music.
Yeah, we're all about connecting Wyoming, and hopefully we'll get to see you live somewhere, maybe an outdoor festival in the not too distant future. But I really wanted to thank you for taking time out to talk with us today, Skip. We appreciate it. And we're going to play this one from the album Wyoming. This is Whiskey Basin on Wyoming Sounds. Thanks, Skip.
Thanks, Grady.